Hello again. My name is Bradley here with Lucky Orange. Look forward to working with you and being with you today on our weekly webinar as we go through Lucky Orange, the different features we have, and also answer any questions that come up. Danny is here as well. He will be answering questions that you guys put in the questions section below at the bottom left. And we'll also be monitoring those so we can answer them during the demo today as well. So we look forward to it. Again, my name is Bradley, and we will go ahead and get started. So the screen you guys are looking at is going to be the Lucky Orange dashboard and what we are going through today. Now, to get started, there are a few different items that we need to get in place in order for you to start tracking. So if you're coming from Shopify, WordPress, or anyone else that has a plugin, all you'll need to do is add that plugin to your store or to your site. And as soon as that is implemented, our tracking code is placed automatically for you. So you do not need to add any further code to get started. However, if you're not using Shopify or WordPress or any other plugin that we offer, when you set up your account with Lucky Orange, you will be prompted with tracking code to place on your site. If you exit out of that and need to find it, you can just go into settings, tracking code, and your code will be found right there. Each site will have its own code, so you want to make sure and you copy this full section of code and you place it either into the header of your website or you use a tool like Google Tag Manager or Adobe Tag Manager and place it onto your site through that system. Again, once this code is in place, you will be all set. So whether you've manually added it or if you've done it through our plugin, as soon as this code is in place, you will be good to go with all features through Lucky Orange. As a reminder and heads up with Lucky Orange, we do not sample any of your visitors or any of your traffic. So once you have placed the code, we will be tracking all visits to your site. And that way you won't be getting a subset of users or a random sample, or you'll have to set up any specific experiments. Once you have this code on your site, all of our features work. You'll have full insight into everything going on your website. So as that's all in place, we'll get back into the dashboard of Lucky Orange. And the first page we are looking at is going to be your main dashboard page. Good launching point for Lucky Orange and a way to get just a quick digest of what's happening here. Here you'll be able to see visitors on site, the total count of those. For any date range that you select, you'll be able to see number of visits, page views, number of pages they've gone to. You can also see the number of tags they've picked up, as well as a funnel. And we'll come back to these two widgets once we get those tags set up so we have a better understanding of what these two widgets offer. But you'll also be able to see what sources users come from, keywords, mediums, countries, regions, languages, browsers, operating system, and devices. So again, a lot of great high-level detail, who these visitors are, where are they coming from. You can also look into a quick map, which will give you an overview of where those visitors have come from. The darker the area, the more the visits. Each orange that pops up is a live visitor coming into your site right now. And then you can also keep up with your social feed through Twitter. You'll be able to add any hashtags or Twitter handles you want to follow, and you can reply, retweet, and favorite any tweets right within the Lucky Orange dashboard as well. So again, a good high-level overview. In this dashboard, it is a test account that we're passing through some data so you can see what it looked like. Highly suggest you set it up on your own site so you can start to see some of these stats as well. One other item to note, you can compare day over day, week over week, and this will tell you which areas are down or up so you can get that high level, what's working, what's not working for you. As questions do come up, again, Danny is here. He's able to answer questions along the way if you add those into the questions section at the bottom left. And then as questions come up that we can address on the call, we'll do that again through the webinar as well. So as we move forward, we'll get into the first main feature that is Lucky Orange, and that is going to be our live visitors section. So live visitors is going to be the number of visitors on your site, and you'll be able to see each individual visitor and be able to interact with those visitors as well if you wish. By default, the user will be passed through as an IP address. That IP address within settings, privacy, you can anonymize if you wish. So either you see the full IP address and you're able to search by that, or you can anonymize the IP through our privacy settings. We have many different privacy settings, which is a good time to talk about those. If you want to be able to enable extreme privacy mode, so you want to scramble different text and you don't want people to see exactly what's on your site, we offer those abilities as well. So all of this is customizable to your experience. So what we track is what you see and what you've set up through our settings. Back to the live visitors. If they are shown by IP, you would see them like this user is right here. However, you'll notice a lot of these are shown with a name that's being passed through. So in this instance, we as a website owner have either a sign-up page or a login where users are submitting their information to us. And since me, the website owner, knows who that visitor is, I'm passing that into Lucky Orange so I can identify them by a name or an ID instead of an IP address. This is very useful because when you're using the tool maybe as a customer service aid, so users are on the phone with a client's on the phone with your customer service and they're having trouble on your website. If they've logged into your site and you are passing through the name to us, you could look up that specific user and use the live visitor to live view with that visitor. What the live view will allow you to do is actually co-browse with a visitor online. So as you're on the phone and as that customer's on your website, you'll actually be able to find that visitor and see exactly what they're doing in real time. So as they are struggling and maybe they're having trouble finding the add to cart button on your website, you could actually see where they are on your site, talk to the user on the phone, and walk them through exactly where they need to go to get to that add to cart button. You're able to then watch as they navigate your site, and if they're still struggling, you can continue to give them instructions as they help and assist to find that add to cart button on your site. Very, very useful, and why we do suggest, if you can, pass through some custom data so you know who that visitor is. All that can be done through our passing in custom user data JavaScript. This can be found in our help section, which is help.luckyorange.com, a great knowledge base of some additional features and how to use them. In this one, the search for passing in custom user data, and you'll get the JavaScript code you need to be able to set this up. You will need to replace either the name or the email, or if you're passing in an ID or maybe test variations, any custom information you want to be able to identify in Lucky Orange, you can use this code right here and we'll create it in Lucky Orange so you can sort and filter by it as well. Definitely, if you have questions, we can address those later on in the call, or you guys can email in to support@luckyorange.com and we'd be happy to assist further in getting this set up. Now, as we're back in the dashboard and we've gone over live view, you'll also notice there's an Ask to Chat button on each visitor. So what this will allow you to do is use our chat interface to have a one-on-one conversation with any specific user you choose. So not only could you be live viewing the visitor, you could be talking on the phone with them, or you could even have a chat conversation right on the website, all using Lucky Orange. In addition to being able to chat and view each visitor, you can see which page they're on, tags they've picked up. Again, we'll go over that here in just a minute. How many pages they've gone to so far, the source they've come from, so they've gone directly to your site. Are they coming from Facebook or Google or email campaign? How long they've been on the page of the site, how long they've been on your site in total, when the last time they had activity on your site. So they're active user and just had activity recently, or they've been idle for a while. Number of visits. So is this their first visit to your website since Lucky Orange has started tracking? Is it their 100th or their 1,000th? You'll be able to see that here. We'll also do a lookup based off their IP address, so you have an idea of what their location is. You can see which browser they're on. So if they are running into trouble and you need to replicate it, if you hover over browser, you can see the exact browser version they're on, as well as operating system. And you can also see device, if they're on desktop, tablet, or mobile. When you hover over here, we'll show you the exact screen size they're on as well. In addition to all of that, if you do have UTM, sources, mediums, campaigns, or terms on your URL, we will pull those in automatically so you can search and filter by that. And then, as I mentioned, any custom information you have passed through, so name, an ID, an email, variation, any type of custom data, we will continue to make custom columns for each additional piece of information you add in, and you can search and filter by all of that as well. All of that can be done through our filter box, where you can use and or statements, and that way you can look up by multiple filters to find the exact user you are looking for. One last thing I want to touch on real fast here in the live visitors are our real-time alerts. The real-time alerts will allow you to trigger event or sound or automatically live view specific visitors based on an event that has occurred. So this way you're able to be notified. Maybe you're having an error on a page. Every time that happens, you can be alerted. Or maybe a certain type of user, you want to be notified when that type of visitor comes to your site. You can get that alert as well. So setting up these alerts give you a good idea and can allow you to jump into a specific session once you've identified those users you want to speak with or view. Again, as questions come up, continue to add those in. Danny is here to help assist with those, and we will definitely address some more at the end as well. After the visitor has left the site, we will then store all these in recordings for you. By default, our storage is 30 days. When you upgrade your account, or you can change plans at any time, you can decide to store the data longer. We have options for storing 60, 90, or even for a full year. So you select how long you want this information to be stored, and then we will do that for you. That will allow you to go back and find any of those visits so you can replay their session or view any of that information you like. And again, you can filter by different columns that you want to, so specific users, or you'll be able to filter by tags. Tags are key pieces of information that really do help filter down users based off of two criteria. The first way you can set it up is here at the top left of the Recordings tab in Behavior Tag Rules. So you can click on Behavior Tag Rules, and this will allow you to set up URL-based behavior tags. So when you come in here, you can either enter a full URL, so something like our sign-up page, and I could say when a visitor goes to that exact page, I want that user to be tagged as going to our sign-up page. And that way, if a user visits this exact page, we'll be able to filter down to them. Now, this can be tricky because if you are adding in custom parameters onto the user, you may need to set up a contains match. And what that will allow you to do is select only a portion of a URL. So maybe you know anytime the URL has /signup.php in it, that's a signup page. And you want to ignore any of those other parameters that have been added on. That's when you would use the contains match. So two different ways to set it up here. And you can set up as many of these tags as you would like. And once you have them set up, moving forward, you will notice each of these recordings start to pick up different tags. That then allows you to be able to filter by tags. So you can filter users that have gone to that sign up page. And now you'll see each recording that I'm filtered down to has at least the sign up tag. And you can add in multiple of these tags. Or you could say maybe I want users that went to sign up, but they never created an account. And now I'm filtering down to those specific users based off those tags that we've set up. So a lot of different options here. The more you set up and the more you identify users you want with these tags, you'll be able to filter down to these sessions much more quickly and identify and figure out where you're struggling, where you're having success, so you can continue to improve that user experience. The other option to set up a tag will again be found in our help documentation at help.luckyorange.com. And this time I suggest searching for tagging with JavaScript. What this will show you is how you can tag a specific event on a page. So maybe you don't want to tag your sign up page, but you want to tag when someone clicks into the name field on your sign up page. That is when you would use a JavaScript tag. Or if you have a single page app or anything where the URL doesn't continue to load, you can then tag events within a page using this code. This will allow you to tag all those different types of events. And again, instead of identifying them by a URL, you'll be able to use the JavaScript that is shown here. After you have all those tags, again, you can filter and search by all of them the same way you would with the URL-based tags right here within your recordings. On this page, you'll be able to see the tags each user has received, exactly when it was created, and if you hover over, it shows you the exact date and time. We'll give you an activity meter, which gives you an idea of if this user had a lot of activity while on site, or if they bounce quickly. That way, before you play the recording, you know and have a baseline of what the visitor is going to do. You can see what page they came in on, what page they left on, and then any of that information we went over through live visitors, like sources, location, browser type, or any of the custom information, you can search and filter right here within this as well. You can export all of this information. That way you can export the metadata and run your own reports. You can search and filter by different date ranges and even go to custom range and search by different times within a day. And you can also filter by activity level and page activity. All different ways to get down to those visitors that you're really looking to see in today's specific instance. I'm going to go ahead and pull up a demo recording. That way we can watch and see what one would look like. So once you've identified a visitor you want to watch and play, you go ahead and press the play button here on the visitor. It's going to pull up the recording. You'll see their mouse in yellow with a hand on top of it. You can either play idle activity, which will show you as they pause on the site or read text, or you can skip that idle activity. You can turn on mouse pass so you can see where users are moving their mouse. Every time you see a red dot will be a click on the page, and you'll be able to see the transition from page to page. You'll be able to see if they hover over text, if they're clicking on links they think should take them to a page and it doesn't actually take them anywhere. You would be able to see that on here as well. You can pause any of these recordings at any time. You can click up here at the top right and see a page list. So that way you can skip ahead. So maybe I do want to watch the sign up page. I can skip ahead to that page, and then I can turn the recording back on so I can watch the interaction with the page. I'll go ahead and pause it again right here. You will notice that anything typed into a field, we will automatically anonymize. That way we're not passing through any personal information that a user is submitting. You still will see that the user is interacting with the field. You just won't have the actual information they're entering. If it is a non-sensitive field, there is, through our help documentation, more information you can look up, and you can mark certain fields as not sensitive, so you would be able to see that information being entered as well. You will also be able to pull up visitor info. So if you want to see who that visitor was, what browser they were on, location, any information about the user, you can see that right within the recording as well. And then there's also a console log. So as you're playing back the recording, if you have turned this setting on, you will be able to see any messages being passed through the console log at the same time it would have been shown to that user as well. So that way, if you're watching a recording and you have something weird happen on your page, you can open up this console log, see what message is being passed. You can take the recording of this you can take the URL of this recording. You could send it over to your dev team, show them the message that's being passed through, and that way they can identify it much quicker and get it fixed right away for you and your customer. That is the recording playback, as well as the behavior tag rules and how all those tie together. We'll skip back to dashboard real fast now that we have more context for the tags, and you'll be able to see the different tags that visitors picked up for the date range you've selected. And then the funnels up here will be an order of tags that users have picked up, and you can find out where users are dropping off. And that way you can see, is there a stage causing high drop off based on those tags you've set up. You can set up multiple different funnels by clicking the Create New Funnel button here. You can view them all right here. So as you switch through each one, you will get updated results. And each of these funnels are clickable, so you can see and watch recordings on any stage. So if I've identified a stage where a lot of drop-off is happening, I can click into that funnel. It's going to set the date range I had set on our dashboard, as well as the tags. So I'm able to see the funnel and watch those users that dropped off in that specific area. Find out if there's a certain field that's causing problems. I could see that. Is there a pop-up coming up that I didn't know about that's distracting my users? You can find all these users that have dropped off, hopefully figure out and identify what is causing that trouble, and then make the change and continue to watch that funnel to see if your conversion rate now increases based off those changes you've made. Now, after that, we'll move forward to some proactive ways you can interact with your customers and hopefully help prevent having to go through a lot of recordings to find out where they're getting stuck. And to do that, you can use our chat tool and our polls or survey. So we'll start with chat. There's 3 different ways we suggest chatting with customers. The first was through live visitors, where you can ask individual users to chat. This will only pop open chat to that specific user, and then from there you can have a conversation with that specific user. The second way you can do chat is by making yourself available for chat. And when you do that, a chat button will appear on your site, and then a user who is on your site can click on the chat button. You will be paged, and any operators who have chat turned on will be paged as well, for you to then initiate a conversation and start from there. The third and final way is through an auto invite. What an auto invite will allow you to do is set up specific conditions a user would need to meet in order to see a chat bubble. So in this instance, we've said the visitor needs to be on the URL of our pricing page. They need to have been on that page for at least 30 seconds. And we also want them to never be tagged with account created. So you've set up a specific scenario when a user is going to receive this chat pop-up. And once that user has met all that criteria, we will pop open a custom invitation that will ask them if they'd like to chat about our different plans available. So not only are you setting specific criteria the user has to meet, you're also customizing the experience based off that criteria that's been met. If the user accepts that chat, it'll page right into you, and when that chat's accepted, you'll then be able to pick up that conversation right within the specific scenario and context that that user has experienced. So those are the different ways you're going to be able to chat with customers. You can go into settings and you can adjust how it looks to the user. So if you want to switch the color of the chat window, you can do that. If you want to change up the text or anything like that, we give you the ability to do that. You can set up a response. So if you have the response happening multiple times and you don't want to have to type it out, you can set up a canned response. So that way you're able to type in a specific name of that response instead of having to type out the full paragraph each time. You can ask users to leave their name or their email or phone number before they open up chat and use it as somewhat of a lead generation. That way you know who the visitor is you're talking with before they open that chat window. And you can set all that up right here within settings. One other item with chat I want to mention is our away form. And what this will do if you have this enabled is if you're away from your desk and all your operators have turned off chat, or if you've become idle on chat and a visitor still tries to ring in, we will pop open an away form, and that way they can still leave you a name, an email, or whatever you decide to include in this form, and you will be sent an email with this information that they submit. That way, as soon as you're back to your desk, or if you're on your mobile device, you can see that someone has submitted a request, and you can follow up with them appropriately from there. So all different ways to do that here, and different ways for you to engage with those customers, whether it's for sales, client services, or just a better experience. You're there proactively to be able to chat or have a conversation with that visitor. Now, if you're not always available and you want another way to interact with visitors on your site, our polls and our surveys can be a great way to do that. So you can come in here and set up a poll. You can have any question that you want to enter in. You can then allow visitors to leave comments, turn comments off, define what you want your submit button to say. You can allow for up to 4 choices for each question you ask. And for each answer, you can either show a thank you message based off the answer they've given. You can follow up with another question, creating almost a survey based off of those different answers and feedback they're giving you. Or based off the feedback they've given or answer they've selected, you could redirect to a new URL on your site. And that way you have that user going directly to a product or directly to the portion of your website that you think they're interested in based off the answers they've given within the poll. So you can take some time to set that up. Highly suggest you at least get 1 or 2 polls on your site to be able to interact with users that way. And when you do that, you can also set up different triggers on when this actually shows to the user. So that way you can say, I want it to only show to users in a specific region, or maybe I want it limited to a specific page on our site, or only showing after a certain amount of time. All that can be done right here within the dashboard. So after you set up all these different triggers and the different questions you want to ask, you'll go back into your dashboard. You can click on the one you want to activate. You activate that poll, and it will now be live to those visitors that you've set it up to be shown on. Once it's live, we will collect all the data for you. So you can click in here and view results. This will allow you to see which answer the users have given, if they're leaving comments, what comments they're leaving as well. So that way you can figure out the feedback that those visitors are leaving. And if they have left specific information you're more interested about, you could either contact them if you have their information, or you can watch a recording to see why they've left that feedback and hopefully help improve the experience if they've left some feedback about trouble they've had on some portion of your site. So again, all great ways through chat, polls, surveys to actually enhance that experience while the user is still on the website. Now, the last few items we have to touch base on are our dynamic heat maps and our form analytics, which are great ways, again, to see at an aggregated level how different visitors have experienced your site. As mentioned before, we do not sample data. We do not make you set up experiments. So you are always tracking. So what this will allow you to do is on our heat maps page, you can come in and you can enter in a URL that you want to see a heat map for at any point in time. So you can enter that URL here, or you can select from a most visited page or a recently viewed heat map, and this will load that site in real time. So I've gone ahead and clicked on our pricing page. So it opens up that page in real time, and then it's going to overlay our heat map on top of it. Again, instead of being a static image where it's just a copy of the site with the interactions and heat map overlaid on top, we actually allow this to be dynamic and allow you to interact with the page. So what this will allow you to do is hover over any of these elements, and it's going to tell you which rank this element is, as well as what percentage of clicks occurred there. You can click into any element on the page, and over here on the right, it'll pop up open an element details card to let you know how many clicks have occurred on that element, the number of recordings tied to it. You'll also be able to click into this blue button within each element to watch recordings of specific users who interacted with that element you're in right now. So not only can you see at a high level how many people have clicked here, you can now go and watch individual users as they click on those different elements to see what they did before they made it to this element and where they go after making it. So a great way to drill down into individual experiences from a high level. And you can also break down each element into different pieces of segmentation. So for the users that clicked on this element, what tags did they pick up while on your website? What sources did those users come from? What browsers were they on? All different types of segmentation right here at your hands for these different elements. You can go back and you can, if you don't know which element, you can look at a full list of elements. And as you hover over, it's going to highlight each one of those on the page. You can select the top 10 button. It's going to highlight your top 10. And you can always take screenshots at any point in time with this top 10 active, with its off. And each time you take a screenshot, you'll have a JPEG stored for you to share with any other team members as well. In addition to the top 10, you can also export a list. So maybe you have a screenshot of the image of the page and you also want to know the numbers behind it. You can do that right here within the element analytics list. In addition to being able to look into each element, you can also segment at a high level. So if you want to go back and see a date range from 2 weeks ago, you can open up your heat map for that. If you want to see visitors that only came from Google, what their heat map looks like, you can make that change, and within just a couple seconds, you have an updated heat map as well. So you can make any changes at any point in time to all these different pieces of segmentation, and as soon as you make that change, your heat map is going to adjust based off those changes you've made. Now, while that seems awesome, then we can also sort by device. So not only are we going to allow you to segment everything, we're also going to allow you to change the view. So right now we're looking at a desktop view, but we can switch over to tablet view and see just tablet clicks, and we can switch to mobile and just see mobile clicks. With a traditional heat map, and again, why we call these dynamic heat maps, is you would never be able to see what happened within this hamburger menu. Well, with Lucky Orange, all you have to do is you press the shift button. It turns off all those different element blue boxes that highlight, and you can now interact with your page, and you open up that hamburger menu and these new clicks appear. Or you close the hamburger menu and they disappear. All these changes are made in real time, so whether you have a single page app, a drop-down menu, a hover over, anything you interact with on a page, our heat map will then update and allow you to see exactly what occurred and what used to be and traditionally was hidden and never able to see within a heat map. We'll go back to the desktop view and wrap up here in just a few minutes. So we're looking at an aggregated view of our heat map, but you can look at precise clicks and able to see each individual click that occurred on a page. You can open up a moves heat map, and instead of showing where users clicked, this is going to show you where they hovered their mouse. So you're able to see, did users hover over certain content on a page? Maybe there's certain content that they're missing and not seeing. And how can I adjust and move that so my most important content is being interacted with most often? And the last view on the heat map will be our scroll heat map. And as that loads in, what this will allow you to see is how far down on the page users on average made it. So are you losing users before they make it to your call to action or make it to that content that you find very important? And how can we adjust that to make sure they're able to see it? So as you scroll down this page, you'll be able to see as that users start to drop off. And we'll eventually draw a 50% line so you're able to see where a majority of users make it before leaving and going to that next page or going to a different site. That way you can adjust all the content and make sure everything is above this effective fold and you're getting the most eyeballs on the content you're looking for. Now those are all the different heat map tools. And there's one item left, which is form analytics, and included right within the heat map as well. I'm going to bounce back to our dashboard, and I'm going to open up a page that has a form on it, so you're able to see what that looks like as well. But if you were already on a page that has a form, you could just open the form analytics right within the heat map dashboard as well. So again, it has all the traditional heat map things. You can segment, switch devices, but you can then also open up the form analytics in conjunction with the heat map. We will auto-detect a form for you, or you can create a new form and select which fields you want to be part of this. And what that will allow you to do is select certain fields that we can give you stats about how users are engaging. In this case, I'll go ahead and just go with our auto-detected form. And what this will do is it will highlight the fields that are part of the form as well as the conversion event. Over on the right-hand side, we'll give you a summary of the number of people who have viewed this form. Of those visitors, how many have engaged? Of those engaged visitors, how many abandoned and how many have converted, as well as the average amount of time it took to complete this form. You can then go into individual reports and you can see items like abandonment. So of those 150 or so users or 175 users that abandoned, how many of those abandoned at our name field or our email field or our password field? So you can see which fields causing the highest drop off. And on any of these fields, you can click into them and you're going to be able to see recordings of visitors who abandoned on the field that you clicked on. So here's all the visitors that abandoned on the name field. And now I can watch recordings to see why users were struggling and falling off on that name field. I can do the same for converted users. So I can watch and see users who've converted and seeing what's successful. I can watch which fields users have repeated most often. So they've entered information, they've left the field, and then they had to come back to enter in more information. I can see from when they got to the page to when they started typing in a field, how long that took, as well as how long it took to fill out each individual field. And then lastly, the order that users filled out the form. So were they going down it chronologically? Were they skipping around? This way we're able to see which users were jumping around and better organize this form to make it easier to complete. Again, as I mentioned before, all of this can be segmented. So again, if I wanted to see just users that came from Google, how their experience happened, I can see that here. I can go over to abandonment, and you'll note that password jumped up from 51% to 62%. So users that are coming from Google are struggling a lot more on my password field. Are there ways I can make it easier? Are there ways I can tailor this page better to those visitors to make it so this isn't such a sticking point? So all these things can be adjusted and really find the power of the tool to figure out why these users are struggling and how we can improve their experience. So again, I appreciate your time here with me. Again, my name is Bradley. I've enjoyed going through Lucky Orange today. Feel free to reach out, bradley@luckyorange.com, or to our support team, support@luckyorange.com. We'll be happy to help. We'll stick around here, answer any questions that you have. I'll follow up here with Danny, and we'll be back here just in a moment so we can go over those questions that have come up. Thank you. Next question coming in is, where are polls or surveys shown? Do you need a unique page? How does it pop up? So that's a great question. The polls are going to show up on any page that you've set them to trigger on. So you don't have to create a unique page if you don't want to, because this is going to be a popover on the page. So it will look similar to this, depending on the colors you've set up, how many questions you've added in, text, things like that. And you can also select where you want it to appear. So if you want it on the left side, the center, or the right. And you can also then set a trigger, such as what page you want it to appear on as well. So you really can customize on where this poll or survey is shown, and what text is included in it as well. The next question I see coming through, is there a way to use a promo code or incentivize visitors to fill out a poll? So that's a great question here as well. What you can do is include a subtitle, or based off a different answer that users have given on your site. You could then choose to show a thank you message, and in the thank you message you could show them the promo code, or you could incentivize, just as soon as that poll appears, fill this out to receive 10% off your next order. So there's a lot of different ways you can do that. If you want some more help on doing that, we'll be happy to. All right, next question coming in is going through conversion funnels, how you set up the tags and how you get to the funnels to then be able to filter recordings. So back in recordings, you're able to set up, and we'll start with the tag portion of it, because this is where funnels are really the foundation of the funnel. And the first way to do it is through behavior tag rules up here at the top left. So you can come into here, you will click add a new rule, and this will allow you to enter in a URL or a portion of a URL that you're wanting to match. You'll either match that based off the full URL or a portion of the URL, and then you'll name how you want each visitor to be tagged. So that way, when they go to that URL, or they go to a page that contains the text you want to be tagged, they'll be tagged with this name that you've set up here. So you can do the tags through the behavior tagging URL based, or you can do it through JavaScript tagging, and you can name it based off an event and trigger it off an event. Either way, we'll set up a tag, which will then tag visitors once they've met that criteria through JavaScript or through the URL. And that visitor will then be tagged as having triggered that event. So that way, when you go back into your dashboard, you will see funnels here, and you will be able to press the plus sign so you can create a new funnel. You could name it as your sign up funnel or whatever you may want. What this will allow you to do is select different tags that a user has picked up. So maybe I want to see users that have gone to our heat maps page. They've then gone to our sign up page, and then they created an account. Because you've set up those different tags on those different pages and events, you can then create that funnel right here. You'll be able to see users that have gone to each schedule event. And then on any of these, you can click into and you'll be able to see visitors that dropped off at that area. So we'll click into here on heat maps page. It applies that heat maps tag and users that didn't make it to the sign up page. And you'll now be able to watch those recordings and see why that happened. Hopefully that helps answer. Definitely reach out to support@luckyorange.com if we can help you set up a specific example on your site. Now, can reports be sent to you through our system? So there's a lot of different reporting, obviously. You can download your own reports through recordings right here. You can go into heat maps and you can export those as well. But we also have email reports. So in your dropdown within your account, you can go to email reports and you can set those up here. We give you some great help documentation like what is an email report and how to set them up right here within your dashboard. So that will link you out to help.luckyorange.com to get some more information on how to set these up. But you can have them set up to either go to daily or weekly or both. And you can set up different metrics and information you want to see based off different tags that you've set up, visits, whatever you may want. You'll be able to customize these email reports. And then whether you set them up daily or weekly, they will then go out to you so you get a digest of what's happening every day or once a week to give you some more information there as well. Awesome. Those were great questions. Are there any other items we can go over today? So with the different tags, looks like we had a question on that. Would you set up those tags? You can filter on those either through funnels. By clicking on any of these tags, it filters directly within here. So you see those tags are automatically applied. Or you can clear that out and you can just enter in specific tags you want to be able to filter by. Now also in the dashboard, there's another way to filter. So if you want to filter each of these widgets based off a tag, you can click up here at the top left and you could then say,